For 11 days in September, the haze returned, shrouding Singapore in a thick smog, with air quality reaching unhealthy levels. Frankly, Singaporeans have had enough.
Oh, yes, it's terrible. We already old age, so our eyes all pain.
I can feel my sore throat coming back.
Because I'm asthmatic, so I have had some breathing troubles, but yeah, kind of just have to resign ourselves to it.
Why is the regional haze back with a vengeance this year? In this special episode of Talking Point, I want to find out if we'll ever be rid of it. We're racing against time, and I need someone who can get to the heart of the fires fast. I know just the person who can help me. So hi Kiki. Our digital correspondent based in Jakarta. We know these forest fires are burning in hundreds of hotspots in Kalimantan and Sumatra, but I have to ask you, actually which is the one that is causing the haze here in Singapore?
Well, it is actually the haze from Sumatra that has been affecting Singapore because of the wind direction. And according to my research here, Jambi province in Sumatra has one of the most hotspots. Last month only, there was an average of 300 to 400 hotspots.
That is a lot. How are they putting out the fires? Has it been effective? I'm wondering how long we'll have to bear with it here in Singapore.
I can head down to Jambi, find out what's been done to actually fight the fires and how long more we can expect the haze to last.
That'd be great. Thanks so much.
About 300 kilometers south of Singapore lies Jambi, a province in Sumatra. Sumatra is one of the two areas in Indonesia where forest burning is currently at its worst. The number of hotspots on this island had more than doubled to over 9,300 from last year. The toxic smoke from the fires then travels towards Singapore, brought about by seasonal winds blowing from the southwestern and southern directions.
You know you're in a hot spot even before you see the fires. There's this strong smell. It's bitter, sour, acrid. It's making me a bit ill.
Outside my window is a reminder of one of the chief causes of this awful haze. Indonesia is the world's largest palm oil producer and a major exporter of pulp and paper. In Jambi province, nearly all of its fertile land have been turned into plantations for these cash crops. I'm going to where the fires are. Taking me there are activists Dwi and Sulaiman from environmental NGO Walhi. For the past few years, Walhi has investigated illegal forest fires in plantations, gathering evidence that will help the Indonesian government bring the culprits to justice. Today, we've received a tip-off about a fire inside a plantation owned by a private company. With the help of informants, we got past security, but we have to move fast and with caution.
Bang Dwi, seberapa berbahaya atau beresiko pekerjaan teman-teman Walhi ini?
Kenapa penjagaannya cukup ketat? Karena mereka memang protek informasi bahwa wilayah konsesinya tidak terbakar. Karena kalau misalnya informasi wilayah konsesi terbakar, ini akan terpublis misalnya kan, maka ada proses penegakan hukum kan.
Burning forest is illegal under Indonesian law, but Dwi says that doesn't stop companies from setting fires to clear land for planting. It's an age-old method that's quicker and up to 20 times cheaper than using machines and chemicals. Before the burning, canals are dug to drain the swampy peatland of water. And Dwi has discovered that the company behind this plantation has gone too far.
Nah sekarang kenapa kering? Karena memang kanal itu terlalu dalam membuatnya.
Working quickly, Dwi and Sulaiman document this violation of the law.
Sudah tidak ada lagi. gambut. Sehingga ada peraturan Presiden nomor 1 2016 itu, kanal-kanal yang ada di perusahaan itu harus disekat. Kenapa? Karena untuk menstabilkan air agar 40 cm. Jadi 40 cm itu maksudnya ini dataran atasnya, gambut atasnya, lapisan atasnya turun ke bawah itu harus ada air. Di ujung itu harus ada air. 45 sudah mulai buruk gitu. Karena rentan kebakar. Rentan kebakar.
Once the land is drained of water, farmers and plantation owners proceed to slash and burn. But this practice is also what's leading to the spread of fires. Once ignited, people living nearby suffer the consequences. I want to know just how bad it can get, and I've heard that one of the worst affected places is Pudding. I'm told the air is better today because it had rained the night before. But the unmistakable smell of burning lingers.
Halo Ibu, selamat siang. Ibu, kabut asap itu setiap tahun atau gimana Bu?
Setiap tahun, memang kayak gitu setiap tahun. Tapi yang ini tadi memang agak tebal karena kebakaran di belakang tuh. Kemarin tuh sakit perut, ini obat sakit perutnya kan. Yang ini sakit muntahnya. Itulah muntah-muntah, mencerit. Iya, yang kecil ini.
Speaking to Santi got me thinking, how dangerous is the smoke that we are breathing in? To find out, I want to know what peatland is and what lies beneath its surface.
Ada api itu, ada api.
I'm on a mission to find out what's brought the Haze back to Singapore with a vengeance this year. My journey has led me to Jambi, which registered the most number of hotspots in Sumatra in September. This is one of them. Up until a week ago, this vast peatland had been burning. The firemen have moved on, but you can still see pockets of smoke.
It's not easy walking on peatland because it's like a sponge basically. It's very soft, so it feels almost like I'm falling every time I step onto the on the soil.
Hati-hati ya.
Yeah.
Oh.
Dr. Asmadi Saad has brought me here to explain why converting peatland into plantations makes them vulnerable to fire.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you, Pak.
Hati-hati, ini
Yeah.
ada api.
Okay.
Ini
I'll
api.
just go here.
Ya, kita harus nyebrang ke sini. Kalau di tanah mineral, ini tanah, kemudian bahan organiknya terbakar, pohon atau trinya, habis sudah, dia stop. Tetapi kalau di gambut seperti ini, sudah terbakar di permukaan karena di bawahnya ini juga bahan organik. Jadi terjadi smoldering. Ini contohnya, ini adalah bahan organik. Ini adalah bahan gambut. Di dalam gambut tropis itu terdiri daripada kayu-kayu.
Kayak gini atau bukan?
Ya, pohon. Ini yang kecil, bahkan ini pohon ini. Pohon yang tumbang nanti akan menjadi gambut. Seperti ini. Ini kan ada pohon-pohon kayu. Ini cabang.
Tree branch.
Yes. Ini bisa saja akar. Ini batang kayu. Kalau ini oleh diangkat, ini. Nah.
This is a huge one. Big and heavy.
Yeah. You can see it. It's still fired here. And when it's fired, it still continues here.
Peat is abundant in Indonesia. As Dr. Asmadi explains, it is essentially a layer of dead vegetation that isn't fully decomposed. In normal circumstances, it's submerged in water as deep as 10 meters. To clear the swampy land to grow pulpwood and palm oil, it has to be drained of moisture. This creates channels where atmospheric oxygen can flow, perfect fuel for the highly combustible peat. And once slash and burn begins, it's almost impossible to put out the fires, which can continue to smolder deep underground for months on end. Another small spark is all it takes for a blaze to be reignited. And one small misstep.
Ada api tu, ada api. Hati-hati.
I almost stepped into a fire, I think. I feel my feet was burning.
Yes.
And I almost fell. It was so deep. It didn't look deep at all. But Asmadi helped me. Lucky me. Pak, supaya segera bisa padam, apa nih solusinya?
Kalau solusi setiap hari adalah preventif. Jangan ada yang membakar. Jadi pembukaan lahan harus dilakukan dengan pembukaan tanpa bakar. Berarti kalau dibuka lahan, dibersihkan, dicincang, kemudian dikumpulin, jangan dibakar. Karena itu adalah bahan organik, penting juga untuk pertanian. Jadi kemudian ada orang-orang tertentu yang dilarang mengakses sesuatu. Misalnya di daerah area yang terlarang, tidak boleh orang. Kadang-kadang ada orang ke situ buang puntung rokok, atau dengan membakar, atau sengaja membakar. Itu yang harus. Yang lebih penting adalah pencegahan. Pertama, pencegahan jangan membakar. Yang kedua, menjaga ini airnya tetap tinggi. Jadi permukaan air tanah tetap tinggi, gambut itu basah.
Ini baru satu, kita sebut titik ya, atau hotspot. Padahal yang terbakar itu ada di mana-mana, di Sumatera ada, Kalimantan ada. Dampaknya apa sih untuk masyarakat atau?
Tetapi yang asap yang seperti sekarang terjadi, itu seperti itu adalah gambut yang terbakar, yang menghasilkan asap yang mengandung berbagai macam racun. Seperti ada yang mengandung sianida. Furan itu seperti yang pernah kita analisis, itu sangat berbahaya bagi kesehatan manusia.
Jadi seharusnya kita jangan lama-lama di sini.
Jangan lama-lama di sini. Ya.
As Kiki found out, the air is toxic in Jambi. But is it as bad in Singapore? I've arranged to meet Eric Velasco, an expert in air quality and pollution management. His research shows that the thick smoke from a forest fire contains both toxic gases and harmful particles.
During their journey from Sumatra, Kalimantan to Singapore, there are other chemical reactions that create new particles from the gases embedded in the plume. They are so small, and because of their chemical composition, make them very dangerous. They pose a risk to human health.
So the smoke that eventually makes its way to Singapore could be more toxic and dangerous, because it contains these tiny particles called PM2.5, fine inhalable particles with diameters that are 2.5 micrometers or smaller. They are the ones we should be really concerned about, because they can enter our lungs and blood. This can cause severe breathing problems and even trigger heart attacks. So is there anything then we can do to keep ourselves safe?
This type of mask won't help at all. This cheap mask, I don't recommend.
They just look interesting, but these cloth masks will basically have no filters.
Yes, exactly. If you want to be really well protected, you will have to wear an industrial respirator. These filters are good removing toxic gases. An industrial respirator is capable of filtering up to 90% of tiny particles.
Right.
In comparison, an N99 mask, this is a fancy mask, can remove 80%. And the typical N95 is between 70 and 80%.
But here in Singapore, most of us use the N95 mask. Is there a proper way to wear it?
It needs to seal perfectly to our face. Very careful to straps, and then move it to above your head. And pass it quickly to your nose. Be sure that it's very well sealed. You have to press this metal brand on your nose.
Yeah, I do feel like the entire mask is sticking to my face.
Exactly, that's right. And now you will be able to wear this mask maybe for 2 hours, 3 hours, no longer than that. And it will become wet. And once it becomes wet, it loses effectiveness.
Oh. So I see what you mean about the moisture, because even as I'm talking now, I can feel my breath being trapped inside.
Toxic fumes and a seemingly inexhaustible supply of fuel combine to make peatland fires a potent enemy.
Apinya mana? Tapi apinya nggak kelihatan loh, Pak.
And as I will soon discover, in the battle against the elements, the winds of fortune can turn against you at any moment.
Di mana-mana udah hati-hati, sini kejar sini. Sedangkan timnya nggak cukup.
I'm in Sumatra's Jambi province. So far, I've discovered that fires continue to burn because of the highly flammable nature of peatland. But I haven't quite figured out what's causing the regional haze situation to take a turn for the worse this year. I need to get a better feel of what's happening on the ground. So I've arranged to meet the local disaster mitigation team from Muaro Jambi, one of the worst affected districts in the province. I want to know if enough is being done on the ground to put out the fires.
Mari, kita mulai.
There's a fire an hour away, and they've been trying to put it out for a few days. And I'm allowed to join them today.
These guys have their work cut out. Only 300 firefighters spread out across an area 7 times the size of Singapore. Over 40% of Muara Jambi is peatland, and in August, over 100 fires were reported every day. For the past 3 months, the crew have had only 1 day of rest every 2 weeks.
Kalau perasaan ya gimana ya, sampai di rumah pun yang punya anak, istri, kadang-kadang anak pun nggak kenal lagi dengan ayahnya. Ini sudah panjang-panjang, 12 hari, 13 hari, ini kan sudah panjang-panjang ini.
Oh, dibilang lelah ya Bang ya?
Sangat lelah.
Pasti sangat lelah. Tapi karena sudah ya jiwa sosial ya, tetap semangat. Hilanglah lelahnya rasanya. Yang penting ikhlas.
The crew have returned to this 3-hectare plantation to resume their battle for the 4th day. But they can go only as far as there is access to water.
Ini airnya cukup segini.
Nah, alhamdulillah yang di sini ada air. Ya, kalau tidak ada air kita pasrah pada Allah. Kecuali kita minta bantuan. Kita foto dengan koordinat kita kirim ke bandara, posko provinsi. Kita mohon kalau cuacanya bagus dia bisa terbang, waterbombing. Terbombing. Tapi kalau cuaca kabutnya tinggi dia tidak bisa.
I've been here for about an hour and I have difficulties breathing. I don't know how these guys manage to breathe with this thin orange mask, but my throat is burning, my eyes are stinging. I have to switch to a proper mask now.
But surgical masks are all that the firemen have been given. I'm not sure either that the cotton uniforms provide enough protection against the heat. I can't help but notice the lack of adequate resources.
Ajarin ya, saya belum pernah soalnya.
Iya, boleh. Ya, sini dulu.
Ke sini?
Iya.
Apinya mana?
Api ini.
Tapi apinya nggak kelihatan loh, Pak. Mana apinya?
Ini api ini di bawah itu Mbak, kebakar itu. Kadang di asap pun sudah hilang ini kan. Nah, tapi nimbul lagi nih Mbak.
Aduh, ke kiri.
Kiri.
Tadi api yang baru, itu.
Itu ya?
Iya.
Iya, yang debu nih. Nah.
The only way to kill off a peatland fire is to drown it. It takes a week to fully extinguish the blaze, compared to 1 day for a fire on normal soil.
Pak,
Ya.
api ya?
Iya betul api itu.
Kesana yuk. Coba
Nggak bisa itu kita harus amankan jalur dulu. Ini kan tanah gambut. Nanti takutnya kalau kita nginjak gambut yang terbakar, kita masuk ke dalam, bisa kita nanti jadi korban.
We have to extinguish everything we see on our way there, which is all the smoke. And as you've noticed before, extinguishing one spot only takes quite a lot of time. So even though the fire I now see, it's probably more or less 100 meters, I say, to actually reach that new hotspot will take a few hours.
This is slow, arduous work. and it feels like we're waging a losing battle.
Api ini tadi kayaknya 5 menit yang lalu belum ada deh.
Ya, seperti inilah keadaan kami di lapangan. Kalau angin kencang seperti ini, api akan muncul. Maka kita harus lihat arah angin. Kalau ketika angin mutar kayak gini, kayak seperti angin puting beliung itu, kita harus menghadap ke tanah. Kalau itu kena kita.
Pahnul Rozi tells me he was at the front lines in 2015 when Indonesia saw its worst forest fires in decades, resulting in air quality across the region, including Singapore, reaching hazardous levels. But he's never experienced anything like these strong, typhoon-like winds before. It's making an already tough situation even more unpredictable. Could this be why the region was enveloped in choking haze again this year?
Nah, bedanya anginnya agak kurang. 2015 itu agak kurang anginnya daripada 2019 sekarang ini. Angin kencang sehingga pernapasan kita agak kurang bisa bernapas. Karena ada asap tadi muncul. Tiba-tiba ada titik hotspot segala macamnya kan. Angin lagi sehingga biar dia kan apinya gitu.
In the immediate future, perhaps the only thing that can truly help the firemen is rain. It's still some weeks before the rainy season officially begins at the end of October. But the early arrival of the rains signals the success of cloud seeding efforts by the government, even if it comes a little too late.
So with some respite in Indonesia, so too back home. So just how much of a role does the weather play when it comes to fires and the haze? And you know, with global warming on the cards, we got to wonder if the haze is going to be coming back in the next few years. I'm meeting geographer Massimo Lupascu. He thinks that the weather has a hand in this year's bad haze. But if nothing is being done to change the situation in Indonesia, that could spell bigger problems. Man-made factors aside, how has Mother Nature made the haze worse?
Near Indonesia, so in the eastern part of the Indian Ocean, the waters are colder. So that means that you have less evaporation, so less rain, so means drier condition, right? And we are in the southwest monsoon period, right? So we have winds coming from the southwest, southeast, and even from the west that of course are bringing the haze to Singapore.
So to what extent will climate change have an impact on this regional haze crisis?
Well, the main problem here is that if nothing changes in Indonesia, climate change might worsen things.
In what way?
Well, I mean, at the moment, future projection for rainfall are of a drier Indonesia. So with the drier conditions, then of course the chance of the peatland to catch on fire, especially with these slash and burn techniques, that can extend even further.
Thankfully, the rainy season has come about for Indonesia and Singapore, and the air does seem to be clearing up. But will we ever be rid of this regional haze crisis? Unlikely, because despite the best efforts of Indonesian authorities, the slashing and burning of peatland is likely to continue. And with even more extreme weather conditions coming about because of climate change, it's possible the haze will return once again, and it could be even worse than before.